We may think that nearly all monkeys have the same habitat and the same behavior, the same customs and the same occupations. But we couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is very different depending on their environment and whether they are solitary or sociable. In the following images, we shall see that there are subtle differences between Barbary macaques and their cousins, the Japanese macaques. They live under frozen latitudes and are the most northern living of all monkeys. The island of Honshu in Japan has very harsh winters, which macaques courageously endure. But even though their thick coats make them impervious to cold, nature offers them an additional gift which is heaven sent: warm baths. The monkeys spend hours in these natural hot springs. They not only warm up in the 60°C water, but also share convivial moments together. Bathing provides a perfect place for being sociable and for grooming one another at leisure. Grooming follows a very strict code and is a convenient way to communicate. It strengthens bonds, reduces tension, and is totally reciprocated. Look at the monkey engaged in grooming. Notice how focused and thorough he is. It must be said that this kind of tactile talk is a primary ritual in the social life of many primates. If the grooming is briskly conducted, it can be detrimental to their relaxation. But they remain tolerant, otherwise they will be on their own. Self-grooming is clearly not as enjoyable. What's more, some areas can be reached only by the fingers of a helper. These Japanese macaques, also called snow monkeys, live in small communities of 30 to 50 members. Among the adult males, there is a clear hierarchy, established not through fighting, as with other Old World monkeys, but gradually through games and peaceful activities. The main responsibilities of dominant males are leading the group, settling disputes, and chasing off potential enemies. Some males are solitary. They are often young outsiders which left their natal clan and are now trying to join another clan. Discreetly, they observe, try to decipher the relationships which bond group members. One day, they become dominant males. Most of the time, it's in the interest of males to be tender in order to maintain special relationships with females. The better they look after them, the higher the chance to be chosen for mating when the time is right. This obsession for grooming has a significant extra benefit for Japanese macaques. Proteins in lice and other parasites complement the very poor winter diet. Up to 4 months of snow in these Japanese mountains. It's pointless searching for the usual food, such as leaves, fruit, berries, insects, and spiders. Macaques have to fall back on seeds, twigs, and frozen tree bark. When the troop wanders in search of food, it is led by a group of males who watch over all the females, adolescents, and youngsters. Gravitating around the troop are young adult males who wish to join the community. If the snow can be scraped away to find food, it can also be played with. Macaques living in another part of Japan have learned, maybe by observing humans, to make snowballs that they throw or push along. The game has been transmitted from generation to generation in that community to the amazement of scientists. The whole group travels together. But once in the area chosen by the dominant males, it's every monkey for itself. The monkeys look for food independently and pick what they can, where they can. Macaques must wander in search of food and scrape the ground. Other primates, more fortunate, simply reach out and pick their food. Such as the orangutan. Those large arboreal apes greatly resemble humans and are actually known in their homeland as men of the forest. We are 30 or 40 meters off the ground in the jungle of Borneo. Trapeze artist? Gymnast? Acrobat? What word best describes the orangutan swinging within the foliage? And where does such skill come from? First of all, from his highly flexible arms, which are longer than his legs. The orangutan uses his weight to flex the trunks and branches in the desired direction. He is sure of his grasp, and throughout his life performs these high-flying swings. Furthermore, he has a good knowledge of the forest. Despite his weight, up to 90 kilograms for males, this great ape from the Pungidae family is highly suited to life in the trees. His hands and feet are almost identical, with 4 elongated fingers and an opposable thumb, ideal for grasping. With the exception of females raising their young, orangutans live alone and rarely climb down from the forest canopy. That's where they find their staple vegetarian food. Orangutans are big eaters, and this partially explains their solitary life. The trees bearing their favorite fruits are scattered in the jungle at considerable distances from each other. And a single tree can only feed one adult, not 2. So eating alone is the best way to live with such scattered resources. The only reasons for coming down to the ground are to satisfy a sudden curiosity, pick up some appealing food, or sometimes settle a dispute. Whatever the purpose, these visits are as short as possible. They have a precise map of the forest in their exceptional memory. They know exactly when the fruit of a particular tree will be ripe, depending on its location in the jungle. And as fruit distribution is sparse and random, they cover a vast area. Or, when there are no ripe fruit, they make do with a selection of leaves. Leaves are rather tough to chew. This is one of the reasons why orangutans lick their fur to collect sweat or moisture. The vegetable pulp is then easier to swallow. Tree leaves may be eaten, licked at dawn when they're covered with dew, or used to build nests. Every night, orangutans build a new nest, and they make it very comfortable. They spend their time always with the same lethargy, either chewing plants or traveling through the forest canopy in search of their favorite trees. All primates roam in search of food, although each species has its own particular way. There is a world of difference between the nomadic baboons and the slow-moving orangutans. Far away, in the African savanna, olive baboons are often seen roaming the Masai Mara. They cover many kilometers each day. They always roam in groups since they live in fairly large communities. They also have the memory of seasonal resources available within their territory. As such, they know what this dry grassland can currently offer: seeds, roots, bark. Let the feasting begin. For baby baboons, foraging for food has two drawbacks. It disrupts their ride and monopolizes the attention of their mother. On the other hand, it's an important moment. By imitating their mothers, babies learn their ABC, which plants to choose, when and how to eat, etc. Traveling this way is less tiring and more reassuring. For example, it's better to be above the ground when walking past one of the large males of the group. They are sometimes bad-tempered. Or when coming across total strangers, such as these mongooses. Olive baboons are known for being gregarious. They maintain genuine friendships that are reflected in their behavior. By far, the best initial approach is grooming. Next stop, another hands-on session with a field of young plant shoots to savor. As if botany was not enough, an infant also has to learn about insects, lizards, and small mammals which contribute to the baboon's omnivorous diet. What a headache. Suckling was such child's play in comparison. Females give birth to a baby every 2 years. The baby is the center of their attention. All the adults look after it, protect it, and pamper it. Young baboons often prefer to play during breaks. However, without noticing it, they still learn through play. That's how they take on board social rules, work out their rank in the hierarchy, and recognize their rights and duties. With its complex network of relationships, the baboon society requires a precise and sophisticated communication system, which novices find difficult to decipher. Community living serves two purposes: protection against predators, as well as teamwork to surround and ambush a prey which can be as large as this antelope. However, this catch is now selfishly guarded by one of the dominant males. There are several dominant males in a group for a good reason. Filiation among baboons is matrilineal, meaning that young females remain with their mothers into adulthood, whereas males leave once they reach adolescence. As a result, there are so many females in the group that one male could not oust all the rivals on his own and look after the young. These troop leaders have a privileged access to females, water, and food. They cooperate in the protection of mothers and their young against other members in the troop and against predators. A member of the troop discovers a tree crammed with fruit, which triggers the baboon's gregarious reflex. They all come to enjoy this feast, keeping in mind their rank whenever possible. But the youngest baboons soon forget about feasting. They'd rather enjoy this new playground. All the adolescents and infants of the large Old World monkey family engage in these acrobatic games with the same enthusiasm. Let's have a look at another example. These monkeys from the forests of Morocco live in large numbers. They are known as Barbary macaques. Like baboons, they are organized in communities and enjoy an intense and harmonious social life, but with its share of daily conflicts. They are also continuous eaters who roam all day searching for food. In macaques, even more than in baboons, an infant enjoys constant attention from its mother. It even acts as a magnet for all members of the group, whether young or old, male or female. This makes it a cute little tyrant. This infant obviously does not understand that grooming is a serious business. It has a hygienic function, but above all, it reinforces social cohesion. The infant macaque will find out when it's older. A female gives birth to an infant every 2 or 3 years. She constantly takes care of her baby for 12 to 15 months, but she is not alone in that task. Males are very considerate towards the little ones, even if they are not the father. There might be an ulterior motive. Being attentive and tolerant are the criteria females use for selecting mates. If they want to obtain female favors, males have to be seen in a good light. Female macaques maintain friendly relations with other females, often their kin, also with the males who help care for their offspring. Friendship is constantly displayed in grooming and many signs of tenderness. The young macaques always manage to push in between those intimate moments. Mischievous, demanding, no doubt tiresome, they are nonetheless the future of the community, and so all is forgiven. The brothers, sisters, and cousins are less forgiving, especially when playing. Learning the ropes of social and political rules is a series of challenges. Spending days in the trees is the bulk of the training the orangutan receives to become adult. It is a world away from the frantic hustle and bustle of baboons and macaques. Here, life is enjoyed in slow motion, in a world where there is neither a right way nor a wrong way. An opposable thumb and 4 long fingers acting as hooks explain the ability of orangutans to serenely hang on with one hand. The ease of climbing, acquired on his own, is useful during encounters with other orangutans. In particular, we shall see, during courting. These adolescents have not reached this point yet, but we can see in some of their gestures a prelude to courting. Just above the young male is a young female. He's recognizable by his build and his growing cheek pads. We don't know the rules governing their fun and games, but we can guess that, like all games, they bring their fair share of disagreements and squabbles. The 2 playful youngsters have met up again further down. Relaxing break? Monkey trick? Or acrobatic competition? For us, many interpretations are possible. As for the trapeze artists, they must wonder what is the meaning of the facial expressions of the female observing them from the branch opposite. Is it hostility or friendliness? It doesn't matter anyway. Their performance is far from finished. It is rare that these playtimes turn sour with peace-loving orangutans. However, games degenerate almost every time with the baboons in Kenya. Due to complex social relationships, the line between fun and competition is quite thin. And often what started as a game of cat and mouse or a wrestling match ends up in getting out of hand. Normally, adults don't intervene in quarrels between juveniles. Disputes are necessary for youngsters to be accustomed to behavior that they will face as adults. It looks like the tension generated by these squabbles is contagious, as some adult males begin to get agitated. Males must play the field to reach the top. They must be cunning enough to forge alliances with other males, use manipulation, and if necessary, be aggressive to advance their careers. Yes, baboons play political games. Sometimes arguments also break out between females, even if females' hierarchy is better defined than the males. Often custody of a baby is the issue in these conflicts. Once at the top of the social ladder, a dominant male possesses all of the advantages of his status. Plenty of food and lots of females. Also, other males and females at hand to groom and pamper him. In return, he protects the young in the troop. This complex network of arrangements, friendships, and power struggles demands a sophisticated communication system of calls, facial expressions, postures, and gestures, such as this one, known as presenting. Presenting their rump can be both an invitation to mate and a way to ease a conflict or assert their rank, just as grooming is. The indisputable grooming champions are the Barbary macaques. All combinations and styles are possible as long as one observes the rules of sharing and reciprocity. The macaques never rush through a grooming session. They are most conscientious about it. Each macaque obligingly presents any part of his anatomy for grooming, to remove dead skin, ticks, lice, and other blood-sucking parasites. And there isn't any square centimeter of skin left unchecked. Nitpicking quickly becomes an obsession. Feeling itchy? Not only grooming reinforces social bonding, but indirectly it even encourages fertility. Studies show that being groomed triggers the growth of the happy hormone, an endorphin which reduces stress. Also, a less stressed female is a female that is more likely to mate. Macaque males, more than any other monkeys, deeply care for the babies in the troop. It's common to see males gather around a baby from their family with a kind of admiration that can be seen in their strange gestures and facial expressions. Another situation. This time there is no kinship between the infant and the adults. Those two are at loggerheads. And this infant will be the peacemaker. Thanks to the infant, the conflict has been diffused. The infant has unwillingly become what is called a social tool. He has enabled reconciliation and built a bridge between both protagonists. The young macaque is really a unique individual. The infant has been so from the first few days of his life. To be able to identify the infant, members of the troop sniff him from head to toe, building a scent-based identity card. What with the uncles and aunties responsible for watching over him, and the adults which use him for reconciliation, the infant never lacks in cuddles. Still, there's nothing like Mum's cuddles. Breastfeeding for 2 months is the rule. Thereafter, even if the infant eats like the adults, the mother allows the occasional breastfeeding until the birth of her next offspring a year later. In macaques, and Old World monkeys in general, the mother-infant pair is never on its own. The whole group acts as parents and jealously watches over him like a precious treasure. Life is very different for the orangutans, the most solitary of all the great apes. There is no room for anybody else between a mother and her baby. This exclusive relationship can be explained. To assure the survival of the species, the orangutans preferred to focus on a few babies which will be properly nurtured and kept healthy, requiring constant attention. At birth, a baby weighs about 1.5 kilograms, doubles its weight in 6 months, and reaches 7 kilograms by his first birthday. It will take 7 years for an infant to reach maturity, to become strong and independent. There's only one thing the baby knows how to do at birth, but it is vital: how to cling, hands and feet, to its mother's coat. Baby orangutans first discover the laws of balance while riding on their mothers during the long journeys through the forest. As long as they cling to their mother's coat, everything will be all right. Each female has a territory of several square kilometers where she lives with her newborn and sometimes her previous offspring. Meetings are rare and end after a few facial expressions of fear. Around the age of 2 or 3, and after those long months spent riding on their mothers, youngsters get the urge to try balancing and acrobatic games on their own. However, it is forbidden to jump off mother when traveling on the ground. Females have a baby every 4 years. For some of them, it is every 8 years. Babies are often conceived during years when there is an abundance of fruits, which ensure good pregnancies and sufficient lactation for 3 years. And always enjoying the best position, the baby has plenty of time to learn how to select food. Much later on, it will also learn about love games. Orangutans get involved in these games with an intensity that has never been witnessed in any other animal. There is a true imagination in their erotic games, helped by an agility that makes every whim possible. Evolution has provided them with 4 hands to be at ease in the trees. These hands can be used for many other things. Orangutans use them a lot in their sexual games. And their mouths also come into play. Japanese macaques keep their sensuality for bathing. For them, the act of mating is brief and frequent. It's essential to trigger ovulation. Anyway, preludes are less useful as the partners already know each other very well. When a female is on heat, which is noticeable by the redness of her rump, dominant males copulate with her in turn. Conflicts arise when the young males who gravitate around the group try to cheat and sneak a quickie with these available females. So much excitement also encourages the juvenile males to try their luck. The more complex the social interactions, the more difficult life becomes. Let's go back to the Masai Mara to look at the mating habits of baboons. They follow all sorts of rules that cannot be ignored. If a male has an eye on a female, he must first be appreciated as a companion for a certain amount of time. It is not polite to jump on the first female without first establishing a good friendship. This may take a long time for newcomers. Once the male has demonstrated his desire and ability to become involved with the female and her offspring, she will give him preferential treatment when she is on heat. It is then easier for the male to seize an opportunity. A female can have several suitors and a male several female friends. And more female friends mean more opportunities. Firmly established dominant males take a dim view of younger competitors. Unlike females that consistently reaffirm their rank through gestures and postures, males' relationships are less stable. When females are on heat, fights between male competitors increase. This fighting has disorganized and unsettled the whole colony. Even the dominant males are worried that their group is scattered in every direction. The orangutans do not need such confrontation to ensure their future. Rivals do not need to fight that much. The male adult develops his influence adjacent to the territories of several females, and he impregnates them when he knows they are available. For the male, perpetuating the species is limited to that. The onus is on the female to do everything else. It is her role to look after the baby during 6 years of patient teaching, how to build each night a new nest in the canopy, how to recognize some 300 available food sources, or how to find the right trees when their fruits are perfect to eat. Orangutans are perfectly adapted to their environment. However, the latter is not as reliable as in the past. What will become of them when the terribly threatened forests of Borneo will disappear? A year has passed since we started watching our group of Japanese monkeys, and it now has 6 more individuals. Winter is back on the island of Honshu. It is time to go and warm up in the hot springs. Adolescents are the only ones to welcome the return of the snow, which makes it difficult to find food for the whole group. The infants are discovering a world quite different from that in which they were born. The white carpet seems so cold. Luckily, they don't have to put their feet on the ground. Waiting for the fruits, flowers, and mushrooms to come back in the spring, the monkeys on the island of Honshu must suffer their survival diet. Fortunately, the river which crosses this troop's territory hosts some shellfish that macaques will collect downstream in calmer waters. The youngsters spend their time running around and playing pranks on each other. And in their squabbles, they sometimes pretend to copulate, which is a classic way to pacify conflicts. The contemplative expression of snow macaques and their long embraces sum up in just a few images our kinship with primates. 40 years ago, scientists in southern Japan stumbled upon a monkey washing his sweet potatoes in the ocean before eating them. The example was followed by other members of the troupe and repeated over the years. The term animal culture was born, although it is still controversial because it implies a baffling notion. Mankind does not have a monopoly on culture. In light of the latest research, we discover that primates are no longer human caricatures, but full members of our family, with their specific attributes and their dignity. Incidentally, in Japan, people show a great deal of humility towards our close cousins. They are held in such high esteem that they are respectfully called Osaru-san, meaning Mr. Monkey.